My name is Jake, and I'm in my late 20s. I've always been drawn to the thrill of the outdoors, the uncharted paths, and the stories they hold. This narrative, a true scary story, resonates deeply with me, as it mirrors a harrowing experience I had with my girlfriend, Emily. Our story began as an adventurous camping trip in the dense forests of Oregon, behind a quaint little town that seemed untouched by time. Little did we know, we were about to become part of a real-life horror story that would test our will, our courage, and our relationship. Our excitement was palpable as we packed our gear, double-checking to ensure we had everything we needed for a weekend away from civilization. The hiking trail beckoned us with its serene beauty, winding through the lush greenery that stretched as far as the eye could see. As the afternoon sun began to dip below the horizon, we realized we had ventured further than planned. With darkness creeping in, we decided to set up camp for the night. Finding the perfect spot was crucial. We needed a place that felt safe, yet not too far from the trail, to avoid getting lost in the vast wilderness. After some deliberation, we settled on a small clearing, surrounded by towering trees that offered a sense of security. We worked together, gathering firewood and setting up our tent, making sure it was secure and well-positioned. The flickering campfire soon came to life, casting dancing shadows around us as we settled down for a meal of canned meat and boiled spaghetti, simple, yet satisfying. As the night deepened, the comforting crackle of the fire became the soundtrack to our peaceful slumber. However, this tranquility was short-lived. In the dead of night, Emily woke me, whispering that she needed to step out. Groggily, I offered to keep watch, listening as her footsteps faded into the distance. Time seemed to stand still before I heard her returning steps, allowing me to drift back into a restless sleep. Dawn broke with an eerie silence. Emily was gone. Panic set in as I rushed to the spot she had visited in the night, finding only her flashlight flickering its last beams of light. The cold morning dew lay heavy on the ground, the only witness to her disappearance. Driven by fear and desperation, I packed essentials into my backpack and set out towards the town, hoping against hope that Emily had found her way there. After what felt like an eternity, a glint of glass caught my eye, drawing me towards an ominous structure that stood in stark contrast to the surrounding nature. In the dwindling light, an abandoned house loomed, its doors and windows sealed with aged boards. The air around it felt charged, as if warning me to stay away. But with Sarah missing, I had no choice but to confront the eerie silence that enveloped this forsaken place. Approaching the house felt like crossing an invisible threshold into a realm of darkness. The boarded doors, a barrier to the secrets within, gave way under the force of my axe, revealing the chilling embrace of the house's interior. Inside, the darkness was suffocating, pierced only by the weak beam of my flashlight. Armed with my hiking axe, I cautiously entered the house, my senses on high alert. The inside was cold and unwelcoming, the air thick with the scent of decay. Following a faint scraping noise, I discovered a concealed area beneath the floorboards. That's where I found Sarah, her eyes wide with fear and relief. In a few hushed, frantic sentences, Sarah explained her ordeal. She spoke of an overwhelming, savage cold that enveloped her as she stepped outside the tent, a chill so intense it seemed to seep into her very bones. Confusion and fear took hold as the darkness around her seemed to pulsate with an unknown menace. The next thing she knew, she was waking up in this cramped, dark space under the house, her memory a blur of shadows and whispers. With urgency fueled by fear and relief, I removed the boards, freeing her from her cold, dark prison. In the dim light of the abandoned house, Sarah and I stumbled upon a scene that would haunt us for the rest of our lives. At a lonely table sat the mummified remains of a ranger, his posture resembling eternal waiting in front of an empty plate. The air around us seemed to ripple with his restrained anger and despair and the silent cry of isolation. We raced with all our might into the township, where one of the grandmothers working at the local grocery store told us the heart-wrenching and blood-chilling story of the corpse. The ranger's story was a tragic transformation. He was once a beacon of safety in the wilderness, but his life took a dark turn when illness robbed him of his sight. Plunged into a world of darkness, his soul was consumed by anger. The once good-hearted guardian turned against those he protected, his words filled with venom in response to every attempt to help, and his blindness fueled an endless well of bitterness. As winter thickened its grip, the townspeople, discouraged by his rage and curses, left him to his fate. In the loneliness and cold, the ranger's life faded away, leaving behind a shell filled with only echoes of his rage. When the ground thawed in the spring and the townspeople learned of his fate, fear took root. The once beloved protector turned into a specter of anger. In an attempt to contain his angry spirit, they sealed the house, boarding up the windows and doors to not only prevent entry, but also to lock the ranger's angry soul inside. "We did it so he or what was left couldn't escape," the locals whispered, blood-chilling fear in their voices. Their stories testified that the community lives in the shadow of a curse, forever haunted by the memory of a man who in life was a guardian, but in death became a symbol of the anger and vengeance left behind. The boarded-up house stood as a grim reminder of the fine line between care and neglect, as a monument to the tragedy of a soul lost in darkness and despair. We emerged from the ordeal shaken but alive, our bond strengthened by the shared trauma. This chilling adventure, now a true scary story etched in our memories, serves as a stark reminder of the thin veil between the known and the unknown, the safe and the sinister. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us likes and comments.